April 1945. Germany is collapsing. The Third Reich is dying in fire and ruin. Smoke rises over broken cities. The war in Europe is ending. But as Allied soldiers push deeper into the rubble, they discover something the world was never meant to see. Buried underground, hidden beneath the chaos of a falling empire. Secret files, blueprints, and names. The names of the brilliant minds who built the most terrifying weapons the world had ever seen. For the Nazi war machine. In Washington, far from the ruins, generals and politicians gathered in quiet rooms. And there they made a decision that would stay buried in classified files for more than half a century. This is the story of Operation Paperclip, the secret program that smuggled over 1,600 Nazi scientists into the heart of America. The Pentagon's worst-kept secret. One war was ending, but another was already beginning, the Cold War. And the generals looked at these captured scientists and did not see war criminals standing before them. They saw opportunity. They saw knowledge. They saw weapons for the coming fight against the Soviet Union. A fight already taking shape behind closed doors, in smoke-filled rooms. To these men, the scientists were not monsters. They were assets, too valuable to put on trial, far too useful to leave behind, waiting for the Soviets to claim them. And so a classified program was born, given a quiet code name that betrayed nothing of its dark purpose. They called it Operation Paperclip. Its mission was brutally simple. Find the best Nazi scientists, separate them from the prisoners of war, and quietly bring them to the United States. But here is what they never told the American public. Many of these men were devoted members of the Nazi Party. Some wore the black uniform of the SS itself. A secret office was created with one purpose: to scrub their files clean, to rewrite their histories, to erase every swastika from their pasts. Over 1,600 German scientists would be secretly relocated. New names, new homes, new lives, no trials, no questions, no consequences. And among them all, one name rose above the rest. A man whose brilliance would reshape the modern world. His name was Wernher von Braun. Von Braun was the mastermind behind the V-2 rocket, the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile. A weapon so advanced that nothing in the Allied arsenal could match it. From launch sites across occupied Europe, the V-2 rained down on London and Antwerp, killing thousands. Civilians, women, children, crushed beneath von Braun's terrible creation. And those rockets were built by slaves. Prisoners worked to death in underground tunnels. Thousands perished assembling the very weapons von Braun designed. He knew. He visited the factories. He saw the starving prisoners. He signed the paperwork. And yet, when the war ended, none of it mattered. The Pentagon needed him. They needed his rockets. The deal was simple. Your past is erased. Your crimes forgotten. Your genius belongs to America. In 1945, von Braun arrived with a clean record. The man who built weapons for Hitler was now an employee of the United States Army. In Germany, he designed weapons. In America, he was reborn, given a laboratory, a team, and a mission to win the future. The Cold War was coming, and America was terrified. Terrified that the Soviet Union would seize control of the ultimate high ground, the sky above and the cold black space beyond. Von Braun understood this perfectly. He began to reshape his image. No longer a maker of weapons, he became a visionary, a dreamer. He appeared on television, in magazines. He charmed the public with visions of space stations and journeys to Mars. The same hands that once aimed at London now pointed to the heavens. In 1958, his team launched America's first satellite, Explorer 1. The nation, humiliated by Sputnik, finally had an answer, and the space race was fully underway. Then came the ultimate prize, the moon. Von Braun designed the Saturn V, 360 feet of fire and thunder. the most powerful machine ever built by human hands. On July 20th, 1969, it carried Neil Armstrong onto the gray dust of the lunar surface. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. But behind those famous words lay a darker truth. The rocket that carried Americans to the moon was designed by the same mind that once rained destruction on Europe. The line from Nazi Germany to the stars was direct. And the dark side of Operation Paperclip did not end with von Braun. There were others. Men who should have stood in the dock at Nuremberg. Men who oversaw experiments on living human beings. Men who supervised the slave labor of the camps. One of them was Hubert Strughold, celebrated as the father of space medicine. But his past was soaked in the suffering of forgotten victims. The Pentagon knew everything. The files existed. The evidence was right there. And the men in charge made a deliberate choice. They buried the truth, because these men were too valuable to lose. In the cold calculus of the Cold War, justice was a price the government was willing to pay. For decades, the truth stayed hidden. While the men of Paperclip lived comfortable lives, raised families, and were celebrated as heroes, the public adored them, and not one of them knew who these men truly were. Only years later, when the documents finally surfaced, did the full picture emerge. And what emerged was a question with no clean answer. Was it worth it? Does reaching the moon justify an alliance with war criminals? Does the fear of an enemy erase the obligation of justice? Today, the fingerprints of Operation Paperclip are everywhere. In NASA, in the military, in the institutions we trust. The Saturn V, the Apollo missions, all of it traces back to Nazi Germany. Operation Paperclip was not a mistake. It was a choice, made in cold blood in the name of power and progress at any cost. And we are still living with its consequences. This was the Pentagon's worst-kept secret. Until next time.